steaming and roasting. Yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne. Cheers, y'all.
Well, that sounds like a party just about. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, and we are on location today for the title of today's episode, Day Drinking on the Famous Front Porch. You can even call it morning drinking, because a lot of times we get the show started, it's not even noon yet, and that is the case today. But whenever you're hearing this, know that we have been day drinking, and this gives you license to do it as well, if that's ever a concern. We're on show number 435 today, and we have returned to one of our favorite spots. We are on location at the Famous Front Porch with our good friend Jim Hime and Jim's daughter Abby, who's with Great Heights Brewing. And I'm looking in the cooler of beers that Abby brought, and you've got beers from all kinds of different breweries.
Yeah.
Not just Great Heights.
Yes. I also brought beers from our friends over at Equal Parts and Brash.
This is what I love about the community of brewers, you know? These people, she's on the show ostensibly to promote their beers, and she's promoting other people's beers too.
Equal
I think that's
Parts
awesome.
Makes one of the best lagers I know, and it's just called lager beer.
I always say
so good.
They've got the lager game.
Yeah.
We've got the IPA game.
For sure. And in fact, it wasn't long ago, it was last week, I think, I got one of your 4-packs of Fruity Pellets, and I was just like, this is just the most amazing beer. It really is.
And Brash has Milk the Venom occasionally.
Yeah. Brash is fun.
Unbelievable. You've had that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So we'll be trying all kinds of things beer-wise today, including some offerings from Great Heights. I noticed you had a can of My Maria, your Mexican
our
style
Mexican lager, available now.
Perfect for summertime, so we're excited to be sampling that. And we want to sample, of course, some spirits as well. And today, I brought along a bottle of the Ron Centenario 12-year rum from Costa Rica.
Ooh, we've had a Ron Centenario.
We have. We've not had their Costa Rican rum, though, so
I haven't seen that one.
I'm excited about that. So
12 secrets.
Yeah, 12 secrets, and 12 years is I believe, those are the secrets. And the different barrels, I suppose, that they use. We'll tell you about some cigars to watch for today. We'll try to get into the 5 brewery tours that you shouldn't miss. Or did we do that last week? We did that last week.
I think we did that.
Yeah, I've still got it on my list for some reason. So, hey, we got it. We can take it off the list. But we'll talk about some things that are going on in the world of beer. Abby's always a lot of fun to talk about, what's happening with breweries, what the trends are at craft breweries. And we'll also take some time to bring you, of course, in the second hour, we'll bring you Drinking News, our most popular segment on the program. And we do have a Drinking News teaser headline for you today. Our teaser headline is, "It might be better if you just say no."
Oh,
and that can be true
Nancy
for
Reagan.
a lot of Drinking News
She
stories.
was so wise and
Yeah.
so good with the stars and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And our drunken fact, which we'll bring you momentarily here on the program, but we do have a teaser headline for that. You just don't have to wait as long. Our teaser headline for the drunken fact, and you thought supercalifragilisticexpialidocious was bad. So there's your teasers. We also have brought along a beverage of mystery.
The beverage of mystery.
And I'll just start passing these around. The beverage of mystery is where we bring you a beverage. One of us brings it in. The only person that knows what it is the person what brung it. And today that, once again, is me. So I brought in the beverage of mystery.
Ooh,
it's a good way
I like
for us
this.
to try something. Oh, I poured an extra one. So if anybody wants more, there will be
Well,
more.
I suppose it depends on what this
Depends on
perfume smelling
the
thing.
beverage.
I do love the
it's like,
nose
it's
on
like
this.
peach perfume.
It is very peachy. You're right.
Yeah,
and,
very peachy.
And you said it right, Ian, because perfume, it is
I mean, it's
perfumey
not
peach
like floor cleaner Fabuloso, but it's a little perfumey.
Yeah, I dig
We've
it. Oh,
started, sweetie.
Elaine has brought snacks. I love this. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you, Miss
Awesome.
Elaine.
Thanks, Mom.
That is
Thanks,
awesome.
Mom.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
This is what happens when you come to the famous front porch. They totally
Wonderful.
take care of you.
We were slightly
Thank
prepared before we got here.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So the beverage of mystery is sometimes it's a seltzer, sometimes
No,
it's a
this is-
canned cocktail. Every now and then it's a beer. Sometimes it's Malort. We'll have to see what we
It
have.
really has the nose of those peach O-rings
Oh,
that
yeah.
you get. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Yes,
to me,
you nailed
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Terry, the things you decide to use in the privacy of your own bedroom. That's your business.
I was thinking
We don't have to
of the
talk about that here on the
Challenger.
show.
Are you wearing a peach O-ring right now?
That was the
All right.
problem with the Challenger. They had peach O-rings.
That was the problem. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's too soon.
All right. It's been a couple of decades, but yeah.
Too soon. Too soon.
Seems like
Can't say that.
yesterday.
All
I
right.
watched that in 5th grade.
Yeah.
They wheeled me like here, watch this, and then everybody came out of it.
Everybody knows where they were on that day.
Have you
They
taken
definitely
a sip of this?
I
traumatized
have,
y'all that day.
Unfortunately,
What's your thoughts?
it tastes like soap, like peach soap.
Yeah, I remember that from the last time I ate some peach soap.
Yes.
What do you think, Gabby?
It's definitely peachy up front, and the carbonation is a little bit like
It's a little flat.
little flat. So, but I do get I definitely get like a florally thing going on with it.
Perfumey soapiness.
Terry?
I mean, I still taste the candy kind of thing, and at least there's not a artificial sweetener aftertaste that
Yes,
I'm
that
getting
is
out
true.
of that.
I'm not
Okay,
getting
that's a
like
positive.
any
I
kind
So
of
I'm
like
I'm
off
not
flavor.
no
yeah I'm not
aftertaste.
getting that.
Well-
So they didn't peach it up
A
with
little
a
bit
bunch of
aftertaste.
Carcina sweet there.
I'm just not sure this is something I would reach for, though.
Like
Yeah.
the soapy aftertaste is that I don't know. Am I the only one getting
No,
soapy
once you
notes?
said it,
No.
I totally understand where
It's like-
where
I
I
don't
don't
like
like
it.
it.
It's like
I
the
don't
little
like it.
soaps in the bathroom you're not supposed to use.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
the
they
kind.
look,
Dusty.
they look so much like candy.
Yeah, they look good and they
Or
smell
seashells.
good, but if you taste them, that's what they taste like.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
When I go to someone's house, that's the first soap I use. Oh, look, it's shaped like a turtle. Or it was shaped like a
not on your cruise line.
turtle.
Turtle's looking a little unhealthy.
Well, I think the best thing about that particular drink is washing it down with this very good IPA.
Ian, you have a question for me?
Oh, yeah. The question is that a beverage of mystery in your pocket, or are
He
you just
almost-
happy to be here?
You almost didn't want to
Yeah,
know.
I know. Well, I'm always happy to be on the famous front porch, but the beverage of mystery today from my pocket is Cheech and Chong's High Tea
Oh, that's why.
with 10 milligrams of THC, and this particular variation is known as Cheech's Peaches.
Oh, so it is peach.
Oh.
It's a black tea with peach.
Well, now that you
All right,
start
I'm
saying
totally
that, now it's
changing
starting
my
to make a
opinion
lot-
now. I love it.
Now it's starting to make a little
Well,
more.
yeah. Now I kind of want to drink it, but that doesn't mean I like it.
It makes a little more sense now.
No,
Maybe-
like I say, I appreciate the way that they didn't, over the artificial sweetener or anything. So there's no alcohol in that either.
No,
I
it's
just
no
I
alcohol.
rolled the
it's
can
just
over and it
THC.
says
Which is
this
trending.
product is not for sale. And then the next line says, or used by those under 21.
Yeah.
But it was just funny that
Or not
the
for
product is
sale.
not for sale. It took me just
I would love to be a fly on the
Thanks,
wall
Dan Patrick.
at the Cheech and Chong corporate headquarters when companies come in and pitch them for stuff like this. Can you imagine them going, does anybody ever pitch us anything that doesn't have to do with weed?
this. I assume, when you get high and it gives you that cottonmouthy kind of thing, I assume this is meant to have already coated your mouth with a very perfumey floral kind of thing, so you have something to think about.
I will say this. I do not detect any of the weed taste.
No.
Mm-mm. Yeah, there's
no,
no.
there's
But
no
I-
bud in
like-
there.
However,
And
I
no
am,
weedy
I am
aftertaste.
feeling a little paranoid.
And well, you should.
Hey, dude, how long has that van been there?
Yeah, I thought we should do this, and I bought it this week because they're about to pass a resolution in Texas where you won't be able to buy these in Texas anymore, as
I heard about that.
as the majority of the country moves forward and opening up around these type of things, Texas, of course, goes the other way.
So
Great.
2 steps
Well,
back.
you know, the good thing is that once they pass that law, at least it'll all be gone out of the state, and we'll never see any of it again.
And no one will ever smoke weed
No
in
one
Texas.
will ever, yes, and they
And it
will never
won't-
bring it from any of the neighboring states,
Right.
which is like all of them that then provide that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's-
And I
exactly
won't
right.
go
Yeah.
to a
It's a-
neighboring
it's
state
a-
to spend my money.
Yes,
Right,
nobody,
right.
yeah, exactly.
Hey,
It's like
I'm
the
gonna
way
be so
people know.
loyal to this.
Nobody goes to the Golden
Is this
Nugget.
going to be like Smokey and a Bandit now? Like,
Yeah.
It's
Like, except for you're not going to get, what was it, Coors? You're going to
Yeah,
get...
you're going to get
exactly.
Cheech
It's
and
a
Chong's
nod
high
to the
tea
free
Yeah,
market.
from Arkansas.
But it is like Smokey and the Bandit. But used to, like, you know, when I was growing up, you had to bring this stuff across the border. And now you just have to bring it across the border of New Mexico, which
Right,
is a much,
exactly.
much different
Yeah,
prospect.
yeah. Hey, we just passed the sign. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The texture of the highway changed a little bit. Okay. I just think, though, if we could get Governor Greg Abbott of Texas to
just
try the Cheech and Chong high tea.
No, hold on. I want to put this in. I think if we could get one of these companies to make one that actually tasted good, then we could get Governor Abbott to try.
Yeah, we may not have
Because
time.
nobody can make this stuff taste good for some
We
reason.
may not have time. Now, you know, Eighth Wonder, one of our popular local breweries, was bought a while back by a cannabis company. And I have read that if this bill passes and is signed into law, they're moving. They're going to pick up and move their whole operation to a state where it's not illegal, which makes sense. But it's like, yeah,
But exactly, then the
bye-bye
money
jobs.
leaves. the
Bye-bye
state.
jobs, bye-bye
Yep.
money. Yeah.
Then I actually have several friends who were
another
employed by them.
brewery
Yeah.
in our neighborhood, right here in Eastwood,
Mm-hmm.
and equal parts also in
yep.
our neighborhood.
And they are, Eighth Wonder. They've got a great outdoor setup.
Their outdoor setup
They
is
have.
really
Oh, we
yes.
would be a huge loss.
Yeah.
That
It's
just
a
that venue
destination.
and
Yeah.
then iconic. They're craft beer icons for sure.
They
But
definitely
even
are.
if they don't necessarily so much focus on their craft beer anymore.
Their
We-
Tex beer is
What
a
they do
go-to.
have.
Yeah, that's,
yeah.
Yeah, them's they
Which
do
one?
have- their Tex beer is
Tex.
a really nice light
Like a-
pilsner.
it's
Yeah.
lager.
it's like Lone Star,
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah, they're
4%.
Except
Yeah.
for maybe a little
It's
better.
really good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just got a moment left in this segment, but I thought I'd ask you what you're smoking today.
Oh, this is a Placencia. This is the Reserva Original.
You've been on a Placencia kick here lately.
Well, so I ended up buying some online. I got a little package of them, and there were a bunch of different sizes of this, and these are all so good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jim, what are you smoking?
Roma Craft.
Roma. You're a
nothing wrong
Roma
with
Craft
that.
guy.
I am. It's partly because of my buddy Brent Stronde in Big Spring, Texas. He's all about Roma Craft.
He's your tobacconist.
He is my
Yeah.
tobacconist, no doubt. But this is the Volstead, named
Oh.
after the Volstead Act, which was the enforcement act after Prohibition. So they thought it was appropriate to remember that with this cigar.
I'm glad it's been remembered, and that's a good
And
thing.
forgotten.
And forgotten.
Forgotten.
I am enjoying a cigar that Ian gave me, which came from Trey Boring, I think, from Cigars for Warriors. But this was made by the fine folks at Oscar.
I mean, technically it
Valadares.
was from Trey, but I'll take all the credit.
All right, fair enough. You can do that when we come back. We got to take a break. We are on the famous front porch. We're about to do some day drinking that is something other than high tea, and we'll be right back. Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And while Ian is pouring the Mamaria, the Mexican-style lager from Great Heights, I want to bring you today's drinking fact. And so, Terry, if you would do the honors and introduce us here.
And now it's time for another Smoking and Toasting Drunken Fact.
So the reason for the pause for those here is because since we don't have the fanfare on hand with us, it'll be put in post. on the show.
We hear
So
it in our head, though.
Yeah, we had to leave room for the cheesy
yeah, I
fanfare.
remember that part
like we
now.
hear it in our
Cheesy
head.
fanfare,
It's
yeah.
like on a television show when they cut away for something that like happened in the past, but then they come back and they're like, "Why are you just sitting there? Like I can't read your thoughts."
And I love the delay where they go, the building looks like it's on fire. Are people running away covered in flames? Thanks, Terry. Yes, people are running away covered in flames.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
You'd figure they could time that awkward delay. It happens every single time.
right. Yeah, just
For an on location, or maybe they do that to authenticate that it's on location,
maybe they
Yes.
do.
and not a
Maybe they
blue
do.
screen.
Yeah.
Or green
So
screen.
our drunken fact for today, and thank you, Terry, for correcting me. We ran out of drinking facts, so we've now gone with just random facts, which we know to be true because they're from the internet.
Absolutely.
And we also, though we present them as drunken facts because they're really good to remember and share at parties. People will be amazed at your knowledge of things this trivial. Our drunken fact for today, the fear of long words is a very long word. The fear of long words is actually called, and I'm going to go through this really slowly so I don't butcher it, hippopotamonstrosis quipdaliophobia. Hippopotamonstrosis quipdaliophobia.
That's a scientist being a prick right there.
Yeah, if you have that problem, you then have to say that.
I don't think they believe that people have that problem.
It's
So they're testing them.
It's a 36-letter word first used by the Roman poet Horace in the 1st century to criticize those writers who had an unreasonable penchant for long words. It was American poet Amy, my God, her name too, Nezhukumatathil, possibly afraid of her own name, who coined the term as we know it today. But yes, the fear of long words is itself a very long word. So even by explaining this, if you have that fear of long words, you probably tuned out by now.
We're going to need you to sign these about 400 of them.
Yeah. So there's your drunken fact for today, and here's the fanfare one more time. And that's, even in my head, it's funny.
You heard it.
Yeah, even in my head. Even in my head, it's pretty funny. Ian, you poured some of this in my burrito. I see some of it got passed over to me.
I drank most of mine.
I see that. So is this a new
doing research
from Great Heights, correct?
No, it's actually not brand new. This is probably the 3rd, maybe even 4th year that we've done this one. We do it once a year.
I was waiting for her to say this is like the 3rd or 4th time we brought it on the show.
Well, yeah.
Kind of glad to hear that. I was like, we haven't done this one?
By the end of the show, if we didn't write down what we're tasting,
No, this is the first time I've had this. This is
one of our favorite
it's
releases.
really good. There's almost like a kiss of lime on the tail end of this.
I know, which is so funny because that's all in, because there's no, because it's just like the Mexican lager demands a lime.
I find myself strangely wanting street tacos right now.
The perfect pairing.
I
have a street taco cigar.
This is probably our #1 requested beer to make for a year round. People get
so is this a seasonal?
This is a seasonal.
Summer? Okay.
Yep.
This reminds me of a girl I dated in college. I just thought I'd throw that out there. It doesn't really.
What's her name, Maria?
Could it be?
Could be. I love that it's a girl he dated in college and he doesn't remember her name.
Well, there were so few.
I like it. It's very crisp. It's very refreshing. What's the ABV on this?
I believe it's like 5.5, 5.3.
That's a little higher than I was expecting.
Yeah, it is a little bit higher. I just closed my nose.
So we'll share some with the garbage truck guys that are going by now.
I knew that was going to happen.
Very well
we
timed.
get all the beautiful background sounds.
It's part of the ambiance of the famous Porch.
Welcome to the east side.
Yeah, I did, by the way, spot a leaf blower earlier, but he hasn't made his way to us yet. I'm sure that's likely to happen.
5.3%.
Oh, you love the
We do
brakes.
serve it with a lime. It's one of those beers too.
Oh, you do?
At the brewer, at the tap room, we'll serve it
Picking
with a
up
lime.
Clifford's trash now.
I never put a lime or salt with beer. Because I feel like if you have to do that with a beer, you've broken your beer.
This can very much stand on its own.
But this, for some reason, like just the tail end, the way it's so crispy and it leaves just a touch of bitter on the finish that it just kind of reminds me of a little bit of lime. It's really nice.
You're not the first to tell me that. Too.
And it's kind of round and a little bready on the front end too. It's really, really good.
Now, I realize that Mexican lager is a style, but is there a certain thing or characteristic that it has to have in order to be truly considered a Mexican lager?
We can always fact check me on this one, but I do believe that there is some flaked corn in the grain bill when we started off.
Nice.
As in like a Japanese rice lager, which are super popular right now. You're going to add a little rice to the grain bill when you first get started. A question that we get often for Japanese rice lagers is if they're going to be gluten-free, because they think maybe it's all rice, but usually it's just a little bit added to it.
Now, a lot of people in the craft beer scene used to make fun of like Budweiser for being rice-based.
It's an adjunct. Yeah.
And now it's like a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, rice lagers are a big deal.
Equal parts makes a good one, and I do have to say, Great Heights also makes a very clean one.
All right, we'll wrap this up, and we'll be right back with another segment, but we'll talk some more about lagers and maybe try one of these beers you brought from one of your friendly competitors.
Yeah, maybe a dark lager.
That's next. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It is Smoking and Toasting. We're on the famous front porch doing a little day drinking. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Our good friend Jim Hime is with us because it's his front porch. So if we're going to do a show here, we kind of have to invite him. You know?
I own it. I own it. Me and the government.
Yeah, that's right. And Abby, his daughter, is here. Abby is with Great Heights Brewing, but she's not only brought Great Heights, she's brought some beers
Which
from
hand are we
Parts.
going with? Left hand or right hand?
Oh, I got to try Bohemian Outlaw. That looks amazing.
The garbage truck did circle back around so that we could hit this. They could hit us at the beginning of this segment.
Yeah.
It's
he
because
left
of the way the street is.
He left as soon as we were going to break. Now he's back.
Yeah, now he's back just in time for the beginning.
It's like, hey, we wouldn't mind if you covered up the commercials, but we're tasting beers here.
He was waiting around the corner.
Well, this is how you know we really are day drinking, because the garbage trucks are running. While Ian is pouring the beers, I want to talk a little bit about this cigar. Ian, this cigar is exceptional. It's really good. It has already kind of surpassed my expectations.
It's hard to go wrong with Oscar Valdez, though. He made the cigars for this run of the
Cigars for Warriors.
Yeah, Cigar for Warriors.
So Cigars for Warriors, for people who are not familiar with the organization, is a great group that they go around to various, brick and mortar cigar shops. They'll set up and they collect cigars. And so, like when they're there, we did a show once where Trey was with us, or actually it wasn't even Trey. It was one of their other representatives. And what we did was when people would go into the humidor and buy cigars, they'd buy a couple of extra and throw them into the box, and the box winds up getting shipped out to American men and women who are abroad, overseas, doing work with the military. And sometimes the places where they're stationed, it can be hard for them to find cigars. So not only can they find them if they get a care package from Cigars for Warriors, but it's just a nice thing to do to go, hey, you are serving our country. Here's something to say we appreciate.
I love that. We need to remember that around Christmas time.
Hopefully by the end of next month to tell us the state of affairs, of course, with Cigar Rights of America and also Cigars for Warriors. But they've shipped over 1 million cigars.
Right. It's amazing.
It's absolutely crazy, and it's a beautiful thing.
And he also, as Ian was pointing out, represents Cigar Rights, and so he's kind of our legal expert on the show to tell us where things stand with all of the pending legislation. The latest news has been pretty good for premium cigars.
He really I was chatting with him, and he brought up an incredibly interesting point that, like, when you're talking to guys, especially out in the field and that kind of stuff, you can't sit down next to a soldier and go, hey, do you want to talk about your feelings?
Right.
Because it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Hey, how are you feeling today? Those kind of things are not going to happen. But you can sit down and go, want a cigar?
Right.
And then you sit down and start talking.
And before you know it, you're talking about your feelings, But it's not talking about your feelings. It's talking about stuff.
We kind of have that in the craft beer industry when we ever check in on each other and say that we need to get a beer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We need to get a beer kind of means, We need to talk.
We need to check in with each
Yeah,
other.
we need to check in, touch base. I love that.
I love that.
I love that. Speaking of getting a beer, you brought one. This is from Equal Parts. Do you
Yes.
know, what can you tell? Do you know anything about this?
I really don't, other than it is a Czech style dark lager.
There's like
and
a
it's quite good.
caramel in the back.
Czech
Yeah.
style
Yeah.
dark lager.
A Czech style dark lager.
Like
I'm assuming the malt that they're using is, of course, going to be a darker malt to start with.
It certainly
Czech
tastes that way.
style
It's
amber lager,
excellent.
5.6% coming in.
It's super smooth.
So this is really good. I mean, I enjoy.
Now, is this a collab? Because it also says Rocking H.
Very
Rocking
well
H
could
Brewing
be.
Company. Equal parts Rocking H.
I'm not familiar with Rocking
We'll have to get
There's
our
a
Equal
Rocking
Parts-
H Ranch up in Dimebox, Texas.
Well, I could have.
Seriously.
I wonder if there's a brewery up there as well.
I don't know.
Is
I
the
hope
Dimebox
so.
Really
is the Dimebox
good.
distillery still around? Is that
Yes.
yeah, that's still happening, right?
Yeah, we should do that on the next.
Well, I noticed you've
famous-
got the shirt on, so
Oh,
Famous-
I didn't
famous
even
Porch.
realize. I'm advertising today
I love it.
for my friends.
That's right. That's good.
That's a
this
killer lighter,
this
by the way.
beer is wonderful.
It really
is good.
This is
It's very
and,
This
good.
definitely popped some serotonin in my head.
and the name of it again, Ian, because I'm
Bohemian Outlaw. This is like beautifully malt forward. There's like a caramelized sugar thing that happens right at the end of the palate, and then it has a little bit of that lingering, slightly burnt toast. I love it.
But
Absolutely
Yes.
love it.
I don't think
Yes.
it's much even sweetness. Like,
Right.
like it's not overly sweet. It's just like really smooth throughout too.
that's wonderful. So Equal Parts. Hats off to you guys, and it goes beautifully with this
You
cigar.
know, Equal Parts
Beautiful.
is like a stone throw from where we're sitting right now. And
They are.
they're great. And they do with their lager beer, they do a slow pour, which is you probably know
Yeah.
more about that than I do. But it's a different way of pouring the beer, and it changes it. It's so good.
They're
So
known for
is it-
those thick heads on the beer. They'll do what is called like a milk pour, where you're gonna have like a majority of your beer is gonna be the head of the
foam.
The
Huh.
foam.
Well, I wonder if it's similar to how there's a difference in taste with a Guinness. If you get one that was poured by someone who really knows how
Poured
to pour it,
properly,
Uh-huh.
pour it properly, those just taste better. I don't know how to describe what it is, but I'm sure it has to do
they
with how the
strain-
condensation, comes out and brings
the
out the
carbonation
flavor.
comes
The
out,
carbonate. I'm sorry, I said condensation. How the carbonation brings out the flavor.
Well, add some
If
nitro.
it's poured correctly. But this is honestly, this is fantastic. Is this one? I have not seen this in stores. Do we know if it's available?
I'm assuming a lot of what I brought might actually just be available over at their tap room.
All right. So this is, and for those of you who are not in Texas, and we're talking about a lot of Texas breweries and Houston breweries in particular today, but the same kinds of things can happen when you visit your local tap room, wherever you are, or whatever tap rooms are closest to you. I was in San Antonio. My wife and I took a couple of days there a few weeks back, and I brought back what they called a barley wine. It wasn't really a barley wine, but we tasted it on the show recently, and it was this absolutely delicious, almost saison style beer. And I'm not a huge fan of that style. This is one of the best that I've tried in that style. I thought it was fantastic.
really, really good.
And
Yeah,
it's just a brewery that was around the corner from where we were staying in San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm such a fan of the local brews. You know, if I'm going anywhere, I want to find a local brewery where I can sit and just try what they have. You know,
When I sit down,
try the local water. You know,
when I sit down at the bar at a brewery, whether it's here or someplace I'm visiting, the first thing I ask is, what do you have that's not available outside?
Yeah.
You know, what do you have that's exclusive to the tap room?
Now,
Because that's
your-
what I want to
Your
try.
brewery here in Houston is in a cool place because right next to it you have a distillery,
Yeah.
and right across the street there's another brewery.
Yep.
It's like this great. You can just
And it's
park
just
your car
tucked
if you can find
back.
parking, and then walk around.
And across the street from there is Ian's house.
I wish.
Yeah, right?
It's actually our one of our favorite
There's a wine place
regulars
there,
is
too.
Raul, and he'll come over and he'll tell you. We have our townhomes right across the street. People literally will just come right over. Another fun thing about Great Heights that a lot of people don't know is that we're open for coffee. So we're the only tap room that you can go and pop up at 8 a.m. You can get
nice.
yourself a nice beer, or if you need a flat white, we've got that too.
It reminds me of being outside Specs, which is the local wine and spirits and beer store where I shop the most often. And I remember going there. I think I had to pick up something for the show, and I was there, and they open at 10, and I was there at about 11:45. So I was sitting in the car waiting, and when they came and opened the door, it was just really funny. All of the people who immediately got out of cars and converged, and that's kind of what it's like at some breweries when you're waiting for them to open at 11 or noon. But you guys are open for coffee in the morning.
Yeah, which makes it really fun because I feel like that brings a lot of people from out of town that are, maybe just getting off their flight and they want to go and see what the local beer scene is. So we pop up when it's 10 a.m.
Can you get beer in the morning?
You can, absolutely.
So I know where. It's not just for breakfast anymore. And I know where I'm going for breakfast. Tell you about some cigars to watch for. There are some interesting things on the horizon, including, and of course you knew I was going to talk about this, when AJ Fernandez released the the Enclave line back in 2015, he created it in collaboration with his father to celebrate the spirit of brotherhood and camaraderie among cigar smokers, just some of the things we were just talking about. Now that sense of camaraderie has been taken a step further because they've collaborated with another cigar industry veteran, Eladio Diaz, and they put together yet another release in the Enclave line, and it is now shipping out to retailers over across the. It is Enclave by Eladio Diaz, but they've used tobacco from AJ's farms, and in this particular one, there's no Nicaraguan leaf, which this makes a very unusual cigar for AJ because he almost always has, in his cigars, Nicaraguan tobacco. And this is not made at AJ's factories. They're produced in the Dominican Republic at Tabacalera Diaz Cabrera, which is Eladio Diaz's
I love
factory.
AJ Fernandez. His name's been on so many cigars as a collab, and it's fun that he now has a cigar that someone else is doing a collab with him on, so to speak.
Yeah, and he's done a few things in collaboration before, but this, I think, is the first one that he didn't actually produce the cigar himself. He collaborated on the blending, and this is his very first collaboration with a cigar maker from the Dominican Republic. So, pretty cool. There was a San Lotano Dominicano line. I don't think that's out anymore. So
I used to smoke those.
Mm-hmm. There's a new Hoyo de Monterrey that's out. Yay. It's a shade-grown wrapper from neither Connecticut nor Ecuador, but from Honduras, and it is the non-Cuban Hoyo de Monterrey brand, of course. And they put out Rojo and Oscuro lines, and now they're putting out this new cigar with the Hoyo de Monterrey Shade. It's a milder cigar. It's shipping to retailers this month. And it is not only light in strength, but light on the wallet as well. They have suggested retail prices of less than $9 each.
Is it that one?
That does look like it to me.
That's a little different because a lot of the Hoyos tend to be medium to full.
Mm-hmm.
The Hoyo Black, especially the AJ Hoyo Black, is outrageous. I love that one.
The one I smoked recently that I'm showing the picture of. Do we want to show them the picture? Anyway. It's the Epicure Selection.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
And but look at the veining.
Oh yeah, that's a good looking cigar.
Yeah, it's a little rustic even.
Yeah, exactly. It was really good too and mild.
And I'm a fan of the Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua series.
Yeah.
They're getting another movement, as it were. They base all of their stuff on musical terms, and the Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua Concerto is the third in this line. And Rafael Nodal, the brand owner of Aging Room, he's got a musical background, and so that's where all the symphonic names come from. This one, there are similarities in style to the ones that have come before, but it's a separate blend, and it is a collaboration with AJ Fernandez and Nodal. And they've collaborated before on other cigars.
Everywhere in cigars.
Yeah, in fact, there's a place I order from online sometimes they'll do AJ specials, and not only is it all of AJ's brands, but it'll be all the other brands that he made. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I didn't know he made that. It's like, order.
Well, you know, as I've been smoking longer and longer, I realized too that some of my favorite blends that I've been smoking for years and years and years are actually AJ blends.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
he's got a certain. There's a certain I don't know similarity. I feel like there's a certain taste and note that all of his cigars seem to have in common, no matter how different they are in other ways.
It's the same as having a certain chef prepare food. Like there's going to be that thing that he does or she does,
and I think it really has to do with the tobacco that he grows on his own farms in Nicaragua. It just has a particular trait or characteristic to it. But yeah, I'm an AJ fan.
That guy needs to come hang out with us.
He does, but you have to bring a translator because he doesn't speak English. So when Ian and I met him at Stogie's in Houston one time, he was nice, he was gracious. And I didn't understand a word he said.
No, but he
speaks Spanish too fast. I can understand some Spanish words, but while we were speaking, he didn't use any of the Spanish words I know, which are the food words and the swear words. So I was a little lost. But
can you tell us a few of those words?
Sure.
Enchilada.
Yeah. And there's also tostadas.
You're an enchilada.
Yeah.
No, mames.
You're muttering under your breath.
Food words used as swear words.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a whole nother
segment. That could be a whole other segment. Tell me a little bit about your cigar, how it's smoking down, and how it pairs up with this wonderful beer.
So it's so far because everything we've had has a very malty up front kind of profile. It's gone well with everything. There's no clash whatsoever. But this Plasencia is so good. It's rich. It's nutty. It's earthy. It's and it's smoking perfect. Look at this. Like even with the fans blowing on us and everything else.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good burn line going on this one from Oscar Valadares as well. So, all right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. There's still a lot more to talk about, including more day drinking on the famous front porch. It's Smoking and Toasting, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. That familiar sound is bringing us back to the next segment here on Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And as we were talking about during the break, here on Smoking and Toasting, we do all of our own sound effects, with the exception of the fanfare.
Oh, yeah.
But pretty much everything else, we do our own.
Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, if we all had like kazoos.
Yeah, we had like
that.
a whole orchestra to do.
I should totally get us I'd go like Party City and buy a big bag of kazoos, and we can all do the fanfare. I love this idea, Terry.
Someone order an orchestra.
We'd have to Amazon those in.
Yeah, I think Party City's out of business, aren't they?
Yeah. RIP.
So welcome back. We're day drinking on the famous front porch, and we have Abby Hime here from Great Heights, and you brought what you described this before it was poured as a good IPA.
Yes.
So tell me what you mean by that.
This is our Haze Not Hate. It's a double hazy IPA, and in my opinion, a good hazy IPA is not going to be overly sweet. It's super balanced. You're not really even. It's 8.3%, but it's not going to drink like 8.3%.
Haze Not Hate.
Haze Not Hate
is the name of it. Ian, what do you think?
Man, if I'm drinking an IPA, this is what I want to. This is what I want to have.
It's perfect for this time of year.
The balance is incredible. You get a little IPA hops up front, but what you get on the finish is more like orange juice.
What a brilliant aftertaste to it too, without having any of the like harsh bitterness to it. It's actually a little sweet on the aftertaste,
That's
and a very
Sabro.
Citrusy, orangey kind of. Really nice.
The Sabro hop really does add this like
with
layer.
Like a kiss of the zest on it too.
Yeah,
you know?
and just the ever so slightest bit of dankness that lets you know you're actually drinking an IPA and not a Orange Julius.
Yeah.
You know?
The hop is still there. That bitterness that you want from hops, but it is also very almost tropical. I do say with the Sabro hop, Sabro can often give off a little bit of coconut notes, but what I love about Sabro is because I hate coconut, but Sabro does coconut it doesn't, of course, going to be like artificial. I'm always afraid of anything coconut because it's going to taste like suntan lotion. But then when you get the coconut notes from the Sabro hops, it's just so clean.
Abby, where is IPA right now in the grand scheme of things? The IPA was, after craft beer started to become a thing, one of the first styles that really took off was IPAs. And then there was the race to see who could make the hoppiest one, and some of them were really terrible. And but then the whole New England IPA thing started.
And we thought that wasn't going to last, but oh my gosh, did not ever.
And that seems to have maintained.
Yeah, it has.
But is IPA at this point the most popular craft beer style?
I'd still say it's definitely right up there. I do think that we've shied away a little bit from just like those overly hoppy beers. Like my new favorite style to talk about at the tap room is like what I've read is called a modern West Coast IPA. So you're still gonna get like those flavors from the West Coast hops, a little dank, a little bit of like earthiness, not like fruity, but they're just like, but they're not they're not super assertive or aggressive or like palate wreckers. They're much more balanced and a little more approachable and lower in ABV. And the clarity on them, they're not like the amber color that we see from our traditional West Coast IPAs. They have like a little more clarity to them. Those are my favorite.
Seems like a lot of the West Coast, and I love IPAs, so I try all different styles within the genre. And it seems like the West Coast IPAs that I've had lately are not trying to beat me over the head with hops. They're much more balanced. You've still got that sort of West Coast hoppiness, but it's not so, I don't know, it's not so like in a competition to see who can be the most pine coney IPA you can.
Yes, absolutely.
It's that development of the market where people, you start out, kind of like with cigars, when we were kids or younger, maybe not kids, smoking Maduros, power. You want all this robustness. And we did that with craft beers, where we wanted all that robustness. They gave it to us, like you said, Cruz, a lot of them failed. But now it's been backed off, and we all start looking for stuff that's a little milder, but still with complexity and still with some bitterness.
It's I think, one of the harder styles for brewers to make is a lager, a good...
Right, a lager takes a lot more time.
You cannot cover anything up in a lager.
Big flavor, coming from a lager. And, from a musician standpoint, it's like playing slow. It's harder to play slow. Take your time. Keep the tempo.
That also
Minimal
reminds me of a girl I dated in college.
I think I may have dated her too.
Oh, I've got a story about that.
Probably at the same time.
Not for the show.
Not for the show. This is what happens when you're day drinking on the famous front porch.
Well, the stories get better.
This is absolutely fantastic.
It really is, Abby. Congratulations.
I spent a lot of years walking
into
breweries and being disappointed when I look up at the board and I'm trying to find anything that's not an IPA.
And that's when I go, I'm home.
You guys almost always have a barley wine on tap.
Less often than not, but but our barley wine, Bourbon Legend, it's a barrel aged barley wine, got us bronze in 2019, I think it was, at GABF. That's one of our signature beers.
So you gave me one of those last time we did a show.
We don't even have any right now in the tap room.
I just drank it.
Did it? And it held up pretty well?
So good.
I'd love to hear that.
I literally, like a week ago, me and a buddy of mine, and I was like, you want to try something fun? And we split it. It was so good.
I will say that the one thing about Great Heights beers is, like, sometimes I'll be out in sales and out in the wild, and I might see like a beer that we haven't had in a while, and I'm always like, oh, let me have that because I want to see the quality of it.
Like
I want to see
how it holds up over time.
How it stood out. And I had this example with our nice, quiet little beach community, which is West Coast style Pilsners, which is a really fun style that we've started to do quite a bit of. And I was so impressed how well that was clean finishing.
Yeah. I will say, though, that can be fun to do, but be careful if you go into a mom and pop liquor store and they've got the 6-packs of the cans of Schlitz with the old pull top.
With the old pull top.
Oh, I took
Don't do that with IPAs.
The first time I've seen the old Schlitz can in the cooler at our HEB that we go to. Yeah, I took a picture of it.
How
it's like,
funny.
Schlitz. You know what we used to call that, right?
Yeah, there's a word for that, and we'll probably not be able to share it here on the show. We'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back, my friends. It is Smoking and Toasting. We're doing all of those things here today as we are enjoying life on the famous front porch. Thank you to Jim Hime for inviting us, allowing us to be here.
You're welcome.
We
He has
appreciate.
his jet fuel engine out there.
Oh, I know. This is
Definitely the best front porch
this
in
is
the
like
east
a
side.
serious lighter
Around
you
the
have
horn?
there, Jim. Wow.
I have a little bit of lighter envy going on here.
Yeah, it definitely happens. You're like,
I'm
wow.
nothing. I'm nothing if not a marketing genius.
Yeah, that's right. It's like you're going, look at the size of that flame. Welcome back. It is
Size matters.
it is it does when
Again,
it comes to,
another reference to
Anyone-
dating in college.
Yeah.
Anyone who says size doesn't matter has a small lighter.
good to know. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think. What was there THC in that? Is
There
that
was
what
a
you
little
said?
The
THC
Cheech and
that
Chong,
we
yeah.
started out
Yeah.
with. Yeah.
The good news is we've had so many good beers.
Oh,
I've kind of
silly.
forgotten about the
Right.
Cheech and Chong high tea.
We don't know the effects,
Yeah, absolutely.
but we may be able to observe them.
So Abby's brought, in addition to beers from Great Heights, which we are fans of, she's brought some beers from some of her,
My best friend.
best friend breweries, and it's really cool. We're now drinking a Pilsner, and this is from Equal Parts.
I
isn't
believe
it?
this is the one that you can most often get on their slow pour, like we were talking about
Oh
earlier.
yeah.
Oh,
And
I always
they do that.
get the lager
They
beer.
get
but
that
yeah.
proper. You get that proper pour in a proper glass.
So when you do the slow pour, if you ever go into a place, you order a beer, and then you order a slow pour.
Yes, exactly.
And
That
they
way-
know what that means.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, this
and
is my favorite.
and then by the time you're mostly through with your first beer, your slow pour will come out.
I love it. So
Yeah.
you order a beer and then you order a slow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like it. Abby, tell me a little bit about the state of the craft beer industry right now. One of the things I want to ask specifically, and then I'd like to know generally where you think things are, but are there, with so many breweries having opened up in the last decade,
Mm-hmm.
is there a shortage of competent brewers? I would think there
Yeah.
would be.
I mean, I guess I could see where you could say that. It's because, like, really, I think the only ones that are going to outlast are quality and consistency, and and not putting a product out there that you don't necessarily believe in yourself, because you can taste off flavors. That's like a real thing. So you would assume that the person that's making your beer would pick up on that.
I think a lot of the brewers in the craft scene started out as home brewers, and then kind of graduated. Either started producing a larger quantity of their home brew, and that's how
Well,
the
what's
brewery started, or they got jobs as
A
brewers.
fun map would be a family map would be us like figuring out who all, like, especially in our Houston area, started out at St. Arnold.
Right.
Right.
And came out
Yeah.
from that family.
Southern Star
That's gonna
Yeah.
being one.
that's
Yeah.
gonna be a large trunk of the family tree there.
Yeah.
But think of it, Ian. You started out as a home brewer. You could have gone on to become a master brewer at one
And
of the
yet-
fine breweries.
You're here with us.
Yeah.
instead.
And you're stuck on this show instead.
I do have to say, brewing is a labor of love.
It
like
is.
It's not
it's
a
labor.
high paying.
It's a labor of sanitizing.
Yes, you are.
My
the
gosh, it's a labor of
janitor.
sanitizing.
So mostly what
have
you
to
do
keep
is
things
clean stuff. Is
clean.
that what you're
Yes,
saying?
cleaning
You
is the
have
number
to
one
be
thing.
clean. Like, if you're not, you'll start getting off flavors like instantly if you're even a little lazy on that. And you have to clean everything right before you brew, even though you cleaned it really well and sanitized it right after you brew.
Right.
It doesn't
You
make
clean
any
it again.
difference. You got to do it, and you got to be on top of that. Like, as a home brewer, if you don't set aside 4 to 6 hours just for the first day of, okay, I'm gonna clean everything, brew, and then have it, to start fermenting. Like, that's what it takes immediately.
Yeah, I do want to say though, like, to your question is like, especially because I know so many of these brewers. Like in Houston, we're very fortunate. I think everybody has like the best of intentions, and there's just like other things that come up against that are even out of their control. Like, we have to think about like the cost of things these days and how they're having to they have to maybe sacrifice some quality in their ingredients because they have to like get what contract and what deals that they can get right now. A lot of breweries, in my opinion, are going up against that. Is like they're trying to make the decision on spending a lot of money on their ingredients, or do we just take all these like deals that are being given to us?
It's not just ingredients too, because we've talked about in the past several weeks on the show how the tariffs are impacting the cigar industry, and we're seeing prices go up. But this affects brewers as well. If what I read last week is still in force, and who knows if it is, but I believe that the tariffs now on steel and aluminum are being bumped up to 50% from 20 or 25, whatever
I've
they were.
stopped smoking steel because of it.
Well, but aluminum is what these cans are made of. Brewers went to cans because it was not as expensive as bottles and had some other.
And you get to do so much fun artwork. Yeah.
Right. But if aluminum is twice the cost it was, that's going to impact the flavor of beer. I've already noticed my favorite. My favorite beer from, I always hate these guys. I love these guys. They've been on the show a zillion times, and their name escapes me, that do Ben's House. And,
the True Anomaly guys?
True Anomaly,
Yeah.
thank you. I don't know why I can't always think
Another
of it.
brewery in our neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Not asking any of y'all to move here.
Yeah, right. Especially not next to Jim. But
No, come.
Margarito would be pissed.
But the guys, that brewery, they make an exceptionally good hazy IPA, and I've noticed that on the shelf at Phoenicia downstairs from me, it's like $3 or $4 more than their other beers that are there. And of course, I can only assume that's because of the hops that they have to source, being a more expensive thing for that than the other ingredients. But we are seeing the price of craft beer. I still remember being able to go into Specs and find, a 6-pack of craft beers on sale for $9.99. You don't really see that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't really
Yeah, everything's going up a few bucks like that. There's also a perceived value in it, When we talked to the author of the Bourbon Barrel Stout and Selling Out, one of the things that he talked about in that book was macro brews struggling with the perceived quality of their beer because their beer was so much cheaper than craft beer. And so, there's a certain amount of
in terms of what it was selling for.
Right, there's a certain amount of psychology. If this beer is $6 and that beer's $10, which one's better?
But every time Budweiser tries to put out like a premium, like a Budweiser Select or something.
Remember that atrocity that was just the higher alcohol one?
Yeah. It's always a
Bud
disaster.
Ice? Was that Bud Ice? Y'all remember that one though?
No, what was that? I remember that.
You remember that, right? It was
Why
so
ask
bad.
why? Try Bud Dry.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't there a Bud Light dry ice at one point? I was like, oh my
It
God.
went too far.
I do remember Bud Ice.
Bud Ice.
Bud Ice,
My
sure.
college days remember that.
There was also Natty Light Ice. Remember that?
We drank that in San Marcos.
Oh, have mercy on
Was
you.
Natty Light ice cheaper than Natty Light?
I don't know.
Because I know at one point you could get, if some of those ice beers are still being made, you could pick them up for a song.
You know
But I
the
will
ones
tell
that
you-
have outlasted the time though is Lone Star.
Yes.
We drank
I
a
was
bunch of
just-
that stuff as a kids, but you'll find Lone Star in my fridge all the time.
I was just about to say, if you're an economy shop or Lone Star, and here's something I've
That's the
noticed.
way to go.
Look at it next time you're in the store.
always
It's
less
cheaper to
expensive.
buy 2 6-packs of Tall Boys than it is to buy 1 12-pack of 12-ounce beers from Lone Star.
Basically, they're supporting drinking more at a time. That's where they're coming from.
Hey, that's
This Pilsner.
It's so
great.
smooth.
Just
almost
talk
creamy in
about
a
what you
sense.
had
Really
from
great.
this. This is just wonderfully balanced.
maybe
It's
a tiny bit left in there.
All right, it'll give me enough for another little taste
Did you
and
only
talk about
bring
it.
the one?
Yeah, sorry. I had to make room
That
for
is sad.
everything else.
She had to make room for the Malort bottle she's hiding
No,
in there.
no. I do have one of those at my house though.
You have a bottle
I
of
have-
Malort?
Yes.
I have a barrel-aged Malort.
Oh my goodness. My brewer,
Yeah.
Phil, loves Malort. And he was so proud of us at Great Heights because he brought a bottle for our Christmas party. And all of us partook. And he was quite proud of his staff.
Yeah, I was at I've never been at a Christmas party where someone brought Malort, but I was at one where we were doing gag gifts, and I got gifted a bottle of Mad Dog 2020.
Oh, we did
Which
that
is the-
too.
Which was the first time I'd ever had it. And it's also the last time I've ever had
The
it.
last time.
Oh, that reminds me of my high school days.
Yeah, there's
Mad Dog, Orange Julius.
Boone's Farm.
Orange
Boone's Farm.
yeah.
Boone's Farm.
Yeah,
Even though it's
Strawberry
sickly
Hill.
sweet, it's still better than Mad Dog.
Believe it.
And I might drink that instead of some macro brews.
Yeah. Well, you got a good point there, sir. I salute you for that. No, this Czech style Pilsner. What was the name of it again?
This is Pilsner Resolve.
Pilsner Resolve from Equal Parts.
Yes.
That is Resolve. That
Resolve.
is a wonderful. It's very Czech Pilsner looking packaging too.
It almost
But that's
resembles
Just
what are the original guys? Oh, the first ones I ever had.
The
Czech style Pilsners.
yeah.
I hate when I do
Blanking
that.
on it.
we'll
right.
think of it in the next
You
segment.
know we all
It's
will.
in Czechoslovakia.
It has nothing to do with the drinking, by the way. So
No, or that 10%
yeah, that's right.
THC we took.
That's right, none of
it's
that.
where Czech style beer began.
Yeah, that's right. In Czechoslovakia. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
What you said,
Yeah.
Czechoslovakia.
yeah. I'm wondering, are there any?
I'm just waiting for two wild and crazy guys to show up from Bratislava.
With throw dog poopy on their shoes. I was wondering, in a way to kind of like support the efforts in Ukraine, is there any Ukrainian craft beer that gets imported that we could buy?
I don't know. We could.
It would be interesting to try.
It's a little too soon.
Well, it's always too soon. Everything we bring
Well,
up.
I mean, we got to bring this all to an end. Then we get the beer out.
Then
of
we get the
Ukraine.
beer.
Then we get the beer out.
Let's hope so.
Now we're solving problems.
Yeah, that's right. And there are plenty of problems that need to be solved. Mentioned this last week, but didn't get into it, or was it last week? One of the previous weeks on the show. Didn't get into it as much. But the Minneapolis Cigar Lounge that got hit with the city ordinance that limited cigar smoking to 15 minutes in cigar.
Can you imagine?
That's the
This is
opposite of what you're
15
supposed to
minutes.
do.
Right,
with a
right.
cigar.
That's what you got left is 15 minutes.
Actually, this is about
Cigar
20
culture
minutes.
is all about sitting there
and taking the
your
time. Absolutely. So they have filed a lawsuit. They're suing over this 15 minute
They should.
smoking limit. And I have a feeling they're going to win this because it only makes sense. And when a lot of times these laws that come down, they're aimed at stopping kids from getting, convenience store cigars in a little package and smoking them, which they usually do because they're going to, hide a blunt inside. But
What? Really?
you never heard of that?
What?
This famed look of surprise on Jim's face.
Yeah,
as you're
but see, today
just hearing the
it's
audience.
today it's all vaping. Today it's
Yeah.
all vaping.
That's
They don't
true.
even know what cigars are.
I
like
see
legit
people,
don't even know what
I see
cigars
people
are.
in
Never heard of the
fine
Tampa
restaurants
Jewel.
sneaking
Don't know the
vape
difference
pens.
between a cigar and a cigarette.
And usually I say to my wife, "Don't do that, dear." But anyway,
That's me. I'm always.
I don't
looking
really
for
tell her
a-
that. I don't care where she made. But yeah, you're right, Terry. It
Ooh,
has
that
become a
smells
bigger
good.
thing. But as usual, lawmakers are about a decade behind.
Yeah, they're like acting like the children know what it is.
Right,
And the children
exactly.
legitimately
Yeah.
don't even know
But
what
again,
it is.
Like
I
when
will
they
say this.
started using Far Out in the 60s.
Well, you remember when you were walking up to Casa de Monte Cristo and it was a
Oh,
13-year-old outside going, "Hey man, can you get me a
cigar.
A cigar?
Can you get me an alma fuerte?
Can I get a couple Fuentes?"
A couple of Swisher Sweets.
We got to take a break, and we'll be right back at Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Ian, during the break, has poured us, as we do a little day drinking on the front porch, and we've already had quite a bit, and we haven't even put a dent in Abby's cooler here. But Ian brought a beer today, too, and I just, we had to try it because the can is so outrageously awesome.
It's pretty sweet looking. If we get a
as somebody who loves cats, I am honored.
This is Hazy Cat from Panther Island, and it says stylized New England IPA.
Okay, so
Stylized
Abby, what
are-
is stylized?
I don't know the scientific terms. I know it's very popular. There's stylized yeast. that you use, and I believe what that does is it enhances the flavors of your beer. And I might be saying this at a very rudimentary understanding of it.
That's okay. We're very rudimentary people. So
That's true.
But I do think it, in some sense, is supposed to enhance the flavors,
Well,
which I really love. I love that.
somebody with a horn is wanting some of the stylized.
There's
hazy
all kinds
IPA.
of stuff.
I can't wait to see what you
comes
think
by.
of this.
I've yet to see a golf cart in our community.
Maybe the next time we do this, we point the camera out there. There's
I
a
think
lot.
so.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of
Well, I
I
do.
think
I
he's
grab
getting that.
whenever people get too obnoxious. I always focus the camera in on them so that if
You gotta have
you're
a
watching
street
on
cam.
You
YouTube,
mean on
you
the
can do it.
porch?
No, I got the trash truck both times.
Well,
Don't edit that out.
while you guys are getting camera shots of the trash truck, I'm drinking one of the greatest IPAs I've had in a
I really
very
like the.
long time.
I really
and we
like
already
the
had a
carbonation
great
on
one
this.
with the haze not hay.
Mhm.
That was spectacular. And I'll just say it, your Fruity Pellets is one of my go-tos because I love that beer and I can get it right downstairs in my building, which is wonderful and dangerous. It's a good thing. But this is okay. Tell me
These
the name
are-
of this again.
Panther Island out of Fort Worth.
Panther
too.
Island, yeah. And I happened across this at HEB, which is one of the local grocery stores here. And the beer guy was like, "Hey, are you into hazy IPAs?" I was like, "Not really."
And he said, "Take this anyway."
He goes, "Oh, well, we got this thing." And anyway, I went ahead and tried it. My wife was looking at the can. She was like, "That's awesome." I was like, "Yeah, pick it up." And we tried it the other night. It was outrageous. So I thought it'd be fun to bring on the show just as, like, sometimes you just happen across a beer that's like, wow, what is that?
Well, and again, Ian's not the IPA guy. I'm the IPA guy. So if he's saying this is good, I gotta try it. And I'm so glad that I did
Can I peek at the?
because it's wonderful.
I want to see what
Yeah, you can
they-
give him another
Hazy
refill,
Cat,
too.
right?
Yeah, a hazy cat.
I like the Hazy Cat.
I did. I think that. Oh, it's 7%. Wow,
fan
you
of
could have
cats
fooled
and
me.
dogs.
Oh, that
See, and I
explains
love
a
that
lot.
about it, too.
Oh,
We're drinking some pretty
Motueka. Motueka is a
hefty
New
beers
Zealand
today.
hop in here,
Oh,
and then and some El Dorado.
I'm a fan of New Zealand. I think it's a wonderful place.
El Dorado, for those of you who
Yeah.
don't know, stands for, it's Spanish for the Dorado.
Yeah, which is good to clarify
Yeah.
in situations such as this.
Yep.
No, honestly, so Panther Island's out of Fort Worth, you said?
Yep, these guys are local.
Well, I got to tell you, again,
For any
I just
cat
wanna-
lovers, you have to have this can.
I want to point out again because we are drinking a lot of Texas beers, and if you're listening to the show outside of Texas, we have listeners in Virginia, and we have listeners in Michigan, all over the place. You guys have all got great craft brew scenes where you are.
Send us some beers.
Yeah, send us beers. We'll send you some Texas beers. It'll be a trade. If a box of beers shows up from a listener, we will absolutely reciprocate, and we'll even send more. So there you go. That's our promise. Because we're always looking for beers that are more difficult for us to get our hands on. I have that Tavour app, which I regularly spend way too much
That
money
app
on
is-
to order beers from all over the
That
place
app
so
is
we can have
scary.
beer on
It's
the show.
wonderful and scary.
hmm
Yeah,
Because
I
before you
downloaded
know
that
it,
during
It's
COVID.
not for the alcoholic.
Before you know it, you've got a $400 crate, and you.
I have gotten my hands on some really good beer.
It's
from
like
them.
But I will say-
a little cute vampire on your bank account
Yeah,
that you absolutely love.
but I will say
That's me and Taylor Swift, guys.
when
Like I don't remember ordering that.
when that box arrives, though, it's like
I don't remember
Christmas.
ordering that.
Oh,
That's
it's
me every
the
day.
greatest thing.
With Taylor Swift stuff.
I always tell my customers, because I work front of the house too. They'll be like, "Oh, we didn't bring any cash. Can we Venmo you?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because then I can spend it on Taylor Swift stuff, and my husband will have no idea.
He won't know a thing.
He can just support my Taylor Swift
secret
habits.
account.
So Taylor just bought all of her old masters, the ones she's been re-recording the
she
songs from.
recorded all,
She
man.
turned around and bought
She was
them all
able
because
to
she
do that.
is a bigger financial force at this point than the label that she,
She's absolutely
left in the middle.
Wow.
She
So,
is
yeah.
the music industry.
She is
Mm.
That
brilliant.
is-
She is brilliant. But yeah, so we are
Insane.
so happy that she owns everything, and
I
now we
did.
can
I wondered
blast
what that
it
was.
in
I saw
version.
some things on some of my friends' page the other day. It was like Taylor Swift Independence Day thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Independence.
And I will just say, she's also inspired a lot of other artists who don't own their original masters to go back and do re-recordings, and it's pretty fun when you come across a recording from one of your favorite artists, and it's labeled Taylor's version. Because that's what she called hers, and that's totally what I would do if I were re-recording my own masters. It'd be here's
Lead Belly's greatest hits, Taylor's version.
Exactly.
Because I teach guitar the other day, I end up teaching a lot of Taylor Swift songs, and I find it interesting to hear the difference in the re-recorded versions and how her voice is matured and those kind of things. It's really interesting.
Wow, you've listened that closely.
So this is probably a good time for a toast, which I don't think we've done one yet.
Is it a Taylor toast?
Thanks so much for indulging me on my Taylor
Swift habits. Here is to Taylor for buying it back.
Thank you.
Taylor, I've got a piece of land on the swampland.
Taylor, you have an open
love
invitation to
Florida.
come hang out on our show.
Please.
Yeah, anytime.
Or bring the Kelseys.
Oh, we have our biggest
You can bring the
fan,
Kelseys.
right?
We can try some garage beer.
I would be down to try that.
I saw it. I did not. Pick
I haven't
it
tried it myself
Oh,
yet.
have you seen it for sale?
I saw it. It was in a 12-pack.
All right, we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll split a 12-pack. We'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back, my friends. It's Smoking and Toasting. We're about halfway through hour number 2 of our show, and we're all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We're on location doing a little day drinking on the famous front porch, and we're going to get to day drinking some rum here in just a moment. But first, it's time for drinking news.
Drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I had to take my gator to the famous Porch.
It doesn't rhyme, but I like it.
Drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
I'm sorry, I had to do it because I'm a marketing genius.
Improvisation!
Jim, you do you. That's why we're here.
That's maybe why you should not come back.
Drinking news is I think we've been disinvited. So, we're in Alanis Morissette song. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Smoking and Toasting. Drinking news is our segment where we bring you a story from the news that may or may not be about drinking, but is always best enjoyed if you've been drinking. And so we'll get into today's story. I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of miss Nancy Reagan. I mean, no matter your politics, you have to admit that as a first lady, she came off as quite dignified. She never said anything, for example, like, "Who cares about effing Christmas?" Not even close. But it was Nancy.
Why did that sound like Ren from Ren and Stimpy?
Well,
Christmas.
because I can't do a Melania impression that's very,
She wore
Effective.
a jacket that literally said it.
Effective is the word you're looking for.
Yeah.
But it was Nancy, in her campaign against drug abuse, that gave us the phrase, "Just say no."
Yeah.
Now, I've lost my place, so stand by.
That's all right. Let's talk about how great that drug campaign worked.
Well, I'll admit, when she came out with that, I was quite a bit younger, and I did used to make fun of it as being overly simplistic and completely out of touch. And of course, that's all still true. But in covering these stories for Drinking News, I have come to wonder in my older age if maybe it would have helped if anyone had said to some of these people in the stories we share, "Hey, buddy, just say no." Someone, for example,
That's a good point.
should have said that to 42-year-old Timothy Schultz, a Florida man,
Florida man.
whose story began when a convenience store worker called police just before 6 a.m. one recent morning because Schultz was in his store shaking violently and demanding...
Shaking violently.
Has anything ever come from a convenience store clerk had to call the police?
Nothing good.
That went at 3 a.m.
Schultz was in his store shaking violently and demanding that the employee call his son. Deputies arrived on the scene, but the Florida man had already gone. It wouldn't take them long to find him, however, as only a couple of hours later, cops responded to a report of a man, matching Schultz's description, who was swimming in a lake that was known to contain a number of alligators. Officers found him in the water. They tried to give him a life preserver, but Schultz reportedly just growled at them.
Oh.
Now, it's not known
That's a normal response.
if the growl was what attracted the lake's resident wildlife, or maybe something else.
Well, see, I thought the growl was keeping him away.
Yeah. But when the Florida man emerged from the water, he had clearly been bitten by a gator on one arm.
What?
Only one arm?
The Florida man, who police confirmed was under the influence of meth, then grabbed a pair of garden shears that were lying on the ground, and using his good arm, and charged at the cops with it.
Charging at the cops in Florida.
His drug-fueled rage resulted in him being tased by officers to absolutely no effect.
He was on the power go-go juice.
Bitten by an alligator and then tased.
Wow.
It's all that stuff that's generated in your body chemically after you've been bitten by an alligator.
He then climbed into a patrol car.
Alligator, shake it off.
And then he climbed into the police car. He climbed into the police car after that and was trying to get to a shotgun that was in its holder in the police car when police finally stopped his crazed attack. And I guess that was their way of saying to him, just say no. But if you think that's the only story of craziness from Florida this week, well, you haven't been, obviously, to the Sunshine State. Because yet another Florida man was arrested after driving to an Ocala racetrack. That's a truck stop. Racetrack, truck stop, and gas station. Taking off all of his clothes and then wiping down his truck completely naked, except for the presence of what police described as a black and clear penis pump attached to his manhood.
At least he was wearing something?
When he was apprehended...
We're here to pump you up.
Yeah, when he was apprehended, the 63-year-old Morrison resident named Edmund Joseph Claremont IV told police that he did nothing wrong, but that he'd been informed that an unknown woman often frequented the racetrack location to have sex with truck drivers.
Naked truck drivers?
Advertising at the truck stop.
So his plan, clearly, was drive to the truck stop, get naked, do a little Hans and Franz pump you up action on his one-eyed willy worm, and then wait for the woman to show up and be impressed by his unnaturally large
So he's just wiping
appendage.
the truck down just to kill the time, I guess, while this was going on.
Pretty sure that he must have been on something to think that this was a good idea.
Man,
Superpower
look at the
go-go
size
juice.
of that truck.
So Edmund Joseph Claremont IV, please listen to me when I tell you,
I love that name.
just say no. But maybe such a simple message doesn't work any better in today's society than it did back in the days of Nancy Reagan. Maybe what we need is a new slogan, something a little bit snappier. Maybe something that cuts through the drug-addled fog a little better and gets to the heart of the issue. Now, it might be difficult for officials to come up with such a slogan, so in order to provide something of a jumpstart, and against the better advice of many who claim to have my best interests at heart, I'd like to share a few suggestions with you now, in the form of another semi-ethical drinking news top 5 list. This would be the top 5 slogan suggestions to update Nancy Reagan's Just Say No. Top 5 new Just Say No suggestions. Number 5, you truckers want to see more jugs? Not if you're on drugs. Number 4, if your meth use isn't brief, that crap will rot your teeth. Number 3, I thought I'd get more laughs from you guys out of these.
We're
You've
waiting
been very
till
reserved.
the punchline.
All right. Why do I feel like I've been exiled?
That's like, did I
from the
say that out
famous
loud?
You just got gemmed.
Burr!
I'm real hesitant to go to number 3 now. Number 3, use psilocybin and you'll wind up an old codger, or even worse, like Aaron Rodgers. Small laugh there, that's all right. Number 2, this meth will harm your health and won't help you bag a MILF.
Yes. Or a
Good
lot
old
lizard.
American Pie reference there.
Yeah. And finally, the number one slogan suggestion to update Nancy Reagan's Just Say No for the current day. Number one, you'll be sorry later when you're bitten by a gator.
There it is.
All right, we rounded it out well.
Yeah, that was good.
Golf clap.
Reporting live from Florida, where this penis pump in my pants makes it look like I'm really happy to be here.
Except for I keep stepping on the little pump part.
My name is Cruz, and that is your...
Drinking news, drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Well,
that
we
was one
gotta-
of the better of that part of the
Is
show.
that part of the show, really?
Yeah.
All right.
No.
So
At least on the porch.
I was feeling like it underperformed,
Cheers.
so, you know.
No. You did well until
All
I
right.
interrupted.
I was laughing on the inside.
Yes, and I appreciated that.
I was telling somebody they weren't going to get the beer they wanted.
So that's why the sad face, not because of the top 5 lists.
No,
Okay,
I
good.
was.
I feel better now.
I
Thank
was
you guys
in my
for
phone.
thank you guys
for you.
reassuring me.
Lovely.
All right, so we've Ian has poured the Ron Centenario Costa Rican rum. It's called, what is it? 12
12 Secrets.
Secrets.
Coming at 40% by volume. Let's see. That's about all it says on there.
Well, on the nose, this is just my kind of rum.
This is really
It's-
nice to
it's-
drink.
Ron Centenario 12 Secrets is aged in American white oak barrels with woods that give us notes of vanilla and a unique something in the mouth. Permanence in the mouth. That's a weird word.
I'm
there.
a fan of vanilla as a flavor.
With strong notes of red fruits and a balanced body.
It's got a burn to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a little bit of heat, yes.
I'm a fan of vanilla as a flavor. As the Bare Naked Ladies taught us, it is the finest of the flavors. And it is very prominent in this. You get a little vanilla, a little sort of maple syrup
Yeah,
vibe.
there's a maple syrup thing
and
there.
and it's just absolutely wonderful. There are a lot of different types of flavors that you get from rum. This is one of my favorite balances. I think this is just absolutely wonderful.
This is very straight ahead, I think, when it comes to a nice aged rum. It's very, you taste the barrel definitely. You get the vanilla, you get those things. You get the things you expect from rum, the cane sugar, and those kind of things
Yes.
as well. There's nothing funky about this rum.
Not at all.
And funky can be very good. I do.
And
like
it
funky
doesn't
rums,
lean
but-
kind of towards the whiskey profile, which
Yes.
some rums do. They're
Absolutely
a little more.
does.
They're a little more in that vein. This, to me, just leans on that vanilla and maple and oak.
It's an interesting aftertaste and heat that comes from this. The heat has almost a spicy kind of heat to it, like you just had
And there's not
a
any
little
spice
bit of
in the
a
initial
salsa or
flavors at
something.
all. Yes.
Right. It's very.
But you're right.
It's,
That little
kind of
tongue
sweet
tingle like
and mellow up front.
And let me tell you how it goes with the cigar. This is really, really wonderful. I have lit for my second cigar
Was that
a
the
San
Requiem?
Latano Requiem Maduro
Yeah.
from AJ Fernandez, and this really is one of my go-to.
Well, we all
cigars.
lit
I
up
love
here
these.
on the
Oh yeah.
break. I'm having the Rojas Street Tacos. This is the Al Pastor version. And
I'm
and
gonna get
it's
some street tacos on the way from.
Dude,
home from the
Rojas
show.
makes great cigars, and they have a whole line that's street tacos, and they're named after different things. So this is the Al Pastor version. It's quite delicious.
So what did you give me? Ian, I can't read this because I'm
Oh,
old and
that's
my
that's
eyes.
an EP Carrillo.
Oh, a Carrillo, yes. Oh,
That's an EP Carrillo, and that's the
Endurance.
Endura.
Endura.
Yes,
Endura.
that one just came out not too long ago, and I think it was very limited run.
So it's interesting.
Quite
because
good.
EP
Best
Carrillo.
Carrillo I've smoked. for
They are
sure.
changing their name to Casa Carrillo.
Casa Carrillo. now.
But all of the cigars I've seen so far still have the EP Carrillo packaging. So it may be one of those fairly slow.
Well, it's going to take a while to move everything over. I think, like as far as the boxes and labels go, because you got to run out of the ones you have. And
10 years ago, they were making cigars that were pretty robust and spicy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I used to smoke 10 years ago, probably.
EPC is another one of those companies, or Casa Carrillo now, that if they put out a cigar, I'm going to try it. It's
Right.
going to be good. I will tell you, they put out a line earlier that was just simply a Maduro. One of them was called Honduran, or
Right.
Honduras. And that Honduras cigar is just make sure you've eaten breakfast before you have it.
it's a big one.
It's a beast. It's been a long time since I had my butt kicked by a cigar, and that one may have done it.
Well, this rum and this cigar are like made to go together. Just absolutely wonderful. Ian, what are you thinking with yours?
It's fantastic. It goes so well. The Street Tacos has a little bit of spice on the back end, which also complements the spice coming up from the rum. The sweetness on the front end really kind of brings out a little bit of chocolate in the cigar that I wasn't, like almost a mole kind of chocolate that I wasn't expecting. That I don't know that I noticed before, so it's kind of interesting going back and forth.
You're right. There is a little dark chocolate even on this cigar as well when you pair those up. How's it going with your EPC?
It's amazing. This is an amazingly good cigar. I can't tell you anything specific.
Well, and by the way,
the enjoyment is just happening.
Well, look, the first rule in cigars is smoke what you like. It doesn't matter if you can describe the flavors, which you do so well, and you also, and I don't. But
that's not what it's about. The only reason we try to do that is to let people know what they might, if they hear something that sounds like, oh, that sounds like something I might like, or that doesn't sound like my kind of a thing, then it can help you make better choices when you're in the humidor.
Or at least, if you're going to try something right off the shelf that you've never tried before, you have a little bit of reference to it.
Right,
you know?
Sure. Right. Exactly. But yeah, smoking cigars shouldn't be about forcing yourself to try to identify the flavors. It should be about relaxing and enjoying what you've got.
And smoking with people that you love. And
that they love you, even though you brought them drinking new. We got to take a break, and we will be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting.
In the beginning, so the story goes.
Welcome back, my friends. We are on the famous front porch on location for Smoking and Toasting, our program all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Do want to mention a big thanks to last week's special guest, Danielle Gray from Angel's Envy, who is always welcome on the show, and is always a lot of fun to have on the show.
So
but,
good. Angel's Envy is so good.
Abby Hime from Great Heights Brewing is also one of those people that can be on anytime she wants to.
You don't even have to ask.
Yeah, that's right. And her dad, Jim, who's here with us on the famous front porch.
You have to ask.
He has to ask, but he can also kind of be on almost any time. So that's just the way.
I'm out here on Monday mornings doing this
We're
anyway.
a package deal.
I love it. It's interesting because I actually met you before I met your dad.
Yeah.
But my wife has known your dad for a long
your
time.
wife babysat me when I was itty bitty.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did she do any permanent harm?
I don't think so.
No, I handled all
No
that.
trauma. No
I
trauma
took
that
care
I
of
can
all
remember.
that.
You don't look terribly shaken.
But yeah, my wife has known Jim for forever, and she was like, you got to meet this guy. You guys are, have many of the
100.
same vices, I believe is the word that she used. So,
We do share a particular mentality.
and as the Doobie
The
Brothers,
cigars, the beer, the talking a lot.
yeah, as the Doobie Brothers once said in a famous and very prescient album cover title, what were once vices are now habits. So, it works. Go back. That's a
You
great
have to
album, by the
practice.
way.
You have to
It's a
practice.
great album, by the way. Go back
It's
and
a Doobie Brothers.
Blue Tile
Listen to
is
it.
so good.
This one
So
is a
Blue
good
Tile is your more, from Great Heights, your more West Coast style IPA, is that right?
I would actually really call it, to be honest with you, no, it technically is a Vermont style IPA because it's unfiltered. You do have some haze to that, but that's not going to come from any adding proteins or
Right, it's not-
anything to it.
Not hazy for the sake of being hazy.
Right.
It's just how the
It's
style.
just unfiltered. Yeah.
plays
This
out.
to me has such a classic flavor.
Yes.
Like,
I would describe it as a classic IPA.
yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's such a classic flavor, and I forget how much I love it. Every
Nice
time
and bitter.
A little bit, but it's also got like
there's a little bit of
a
bitter.
fruit, like the stone fruit that comes out. So, if you want to compare this to Fruity Pellets, which is a favorite, Fruity Pellets is softer and more
Fluffier.
citrus forward.
Fluffier.
Fluffier is a great word for it. It's more approachable, and then Blue Tile is just a little more assertive. And
Right.
it's a different kind of fruit. It's more of a stone fruit, and then it doesn't finish juicy. It's meant to finish a little more dry.
But this reminds me more of like a
Yeah.
Lone Pint Yellow Rose. It's in that sort
as
of
it
family.
should, since it's 100% mosaic, just like Yellow
Right.
Rose.
Ah.
And even like, I think of it as being even similar to like just the standard Lagunitas IPA, but that has a little more bitter to it than this does.
That's
This
going to lean more West Coast.
more
this
balanced,
is very
yeah.
much in the middle. This is the whole reason I have a sales
So
job.
maybe for an East Coast,
This evaporates really fast.
maybe
I have another one.
maybe for an East Coast, it's a little more bitter.
So it's not what I
Yeah.
would say East Coast, because East Coast is usually people still consider that hazy, I think. I
Right.
might have that a little
But
bit
you
mixed
said
up.
Vermont
but
style, and
Vermont
that-
style is
yeah.
a very specific style.
That makes some sense. There was a
And I
brewery.
think that's where East Coast / hazies kind of got their start, maybe.
Well, there was a brewery.
Have to do some
I'm not
research.
sure if it exists anymore or not. But when I lived up in Boston, there was a Vermont brewery called Magic Hat.
Oh,
They
right. I
had
remember them.
Magic Hat number 9 was
Yeah,
their
yeah.
sort of flagship. But they had an IPA that this reminds me a lot of, just in style.
Yeah,
and
it was
taste.
a hazy IPA that was had a purple can, right?
Mhm.
Another.
Have you tried going back to your rum after this, by the way?
Mm-mm.
No, but I'd be happy to do that.
It's really interesting. It turns the rum into a little fruit bomb.
Oh, how funny! I do still have a little.
Oh, it most certainly does. I'm getting like berries and strawberry even.
It turns it into like the first couple sips are a little bit of a fruit punch bomb.
So
It's
you
interesting.
don't get as much of the vanilla and the maple, but you definitely get that fruit like way over the top.
It
fruit.
knocks the spice out of it
I
too.
wonder
Yeah,
what would
it does.
happen if we poured the rum into the
No.
beer.
Double dog dare you.
Oh, here we go.
Don't ruin my beer.
Again, I hearken back to college.
I was
You
just kidding.
mentioned earlier in passing that that this beer was one of the reasons you have a job. Is
Yeah,
that right?
or my sales job. I do believe that. Like, it's my number one out there. People do really appreciate just like the fact that it's 6.6%. It's very balanced. Again, it's not an IPA that's gonna like crush your palate. It goes well with food. So
The
it
fact
just
that we can go
does
back to the
really
rum
well.
and it
On the
works
menu.
is kind of a big deal for a non-New England.
And this one, I
IPA.
feel like you can find the most out of all of our brands. You can find out there on tap, especially in like the Montrose area. The Heights love it. The Garden Oaks, even though our brewery is right there in the heart of Garden Oaks, the restaurants in that area love to support us. So yeah, they definitely keep me alive.
Have you noticed as craft beer has kind of matured, and now we're in that sort of like contraction phase where there's more breweries closing than there are opening by at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But have you noticed, like in restaurants in particular, are they continuing to open up more and more to craft beer, or did it kind of plateau?
It's kind of a 50-50 split. I think like opening up to craft beer. I think a lot of them are open to craft beer. It's just how easy is it for them to get it, or like what fits their portfolio or their budget.
Right.
What
And their menu for that.
Yeah, and their menu, and also what distributors they're working with. So that sometimes dictates on what you're going to see on tap. And yeah.
How big a victory is it for you to get a tap somewhere?
Oh, it's pretty fun for me.
Is that like a
yeah,
getting
'cause
together
we're
with friends to
self-distro.
celebrate type thing?
Well, we're self-distro, so some of the ones out there, so everyone I get is like a little bit of a personal victory to me. And there's definitely some of my favorites, like Loro, out of which is going to be the Aaron Franklin and Uchi concept. That we have our beer on top over there. I was super proud of that one. And then
I
also
bet
like
this goes
Clark's
good with
has blue
sushi.
tile.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Clark's Oyster Bar. That's the
Love that
only
place.
Houston beer that they put in there is blue tile. So that one meant a lot to me.
Well-
There's a new restaurant too on West 19th, which is Agnes and Sherman. You can find beer that we don't even have in our tap room right now. I think they have our Night Gardener.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
but ran out fast.
Well, this has been great fun. Thank you for sharing so much good beer from us and from your other friend breweries as well. And Jim, as always, the front porch is like the greatest place to be. That's why it's famous. Thank you. For,
I know you only say that when you're here.
Yeah. That's not true. I also say it when I'm on the way. so
But never when you're leaving.
yeah, never. Thank you for smoking and drinking with us. We appreciate any opportunity to day drink on the famous front porch. We
Indeed.
appreciate all of you guys.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you for
let's do
having
this
us.
again soon. And cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, Derek.